Okay, I'd like to call this meeting to order. We'd like to recognize that this meeting is being held on the traditional territory of the Lillooet Nation. Approval of the agenda. You can second it, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. We have no opposed. So do we have our delegation here?
Yes, I will let them in.
Okay. Are they there yet?
Oh, here they come. Yeah, we've got Erica Van Loon.
Good morning, Erica.
Hello, can everyone hear me okay?
Very good. Good morning.
Good morning. Hello.
Okay, who's going to lead this off?
You give us the go ahead and we will start whenever you are ready.
We're ready. Thank
Perfect. Great. Well, thank you so much, everyone. Good morning. We are with the Coast to Cascades Grizzly Bear Initiative. Hopefully you can see the presentation up on your screen. My name is Jolene Patrick. I'm from Nequatqua and Xlatliam Nation, and I work in the area of community coexistence and education. And my colleague is Erica Van Loon from Pemberton, a longtime local farmer and coordinates communications. So today we are presenting on how the SLRD can support local grizzly bear coexistence initiatives. Next slide, please. So here's a map of 5 threatened grizzly bear population units in Southwest BC. I'll draw your attention to the 2 blue ovals in the middle. These represent 2 fracture zones. On the left is the upper Pemberton Meadows, and in between the Squamish-Lillooet and South Chilcotin grizzly bear population units. And the eastern fracture along Portage Road, so that's Mount Currie, Bercy, Darcy, Seaton, between the South Chilcotin population and the critically endangered Stein-Nahatlat grizzly bears. The term fracture is referring to a disconnect between the connectivity. So bears that would naturally cross through those areas are not able to. Historically, they would have been shot or poached, often coming from a lack of understanding. And this led to the severe depletion of grizzly bears. And in these areas in particular, government biologists highlighted the need for grizzly bear recovery. So slowly over the years and efforts, some populations are increasing, and the sentiment toward bears has also been changing. And so coexistence on these shared landscapes is a possibility with the right knowledge, tools, and support. So Coast to Cascades has many connectivity and coexistence initiatives. One was conducting bear hazard assessments in these areas, the fracture zones, to determine the current human bear conflict issues and how to mitigate them. So the management strategies are laid out in the BHA documents that were provided in the presentation package. And one such strategy has now become one of C2C's leading initiatives, of which Erica will speak to next. Next slide, please.
Yes, so this leading initiative is our electric fence cost share program. So when properly installed and maintained, electric fencing is a proven attractant-based management tool that can be applied to improve human grizzly bear coexistence. It's a really critical approach to secure attractants and deter bears from accessing human food sources that they should not be in. Coast to Cascades has been operating our electric fence cost share program since 2021, and we're now entering into our 4th year. We first began this initiative in the Pemberton Meadows to support rural residents who live at the interface of high-quality grizzly bear habitats. And to reduce some of the barriers to electric fencing, our program offers a 50% cost share towards material costs. This year, we'll be increasing our maximum cost share contribution from $2,000 to $3,000 per qualifying resident. We also contribute our time, program administration, and pay for expert contractors to help with installations to ensure that these fences align with grizzly bear specific fencing standards. And we'll continue to offer cost sharing in high priority areas of grizzly bear connectivity corridors and also in current high conflict potential zones. So in terms of known geography for us here, our 2024 program will include the Pemberton Meadows again, and also along Portage Road, and we'll be launching that this month. We also hope to expand to the Bridge River Valley in 2025. Next slide, please. So now we're looking at a map of the Pemberton Meadows, which runs through the South Chilcotin and Squamish-Lillooet grizzly bear population unit boundaries. You can see our progress in this area through the electrified yellow symbols on that map that show where a fence has already been installed. So over 3 years, we've installed 10 electric fences and 2 fence extensions in the valley that have successfully secured a variety of attractants. And the Pemberton Valley is known to have high historical grizzly bear habitat and connectivity use. And today it's also currently known as a high productivity agricultural valley. So as Jolene previously discussed, this valley is a fracture zone between those 2 grizzly bear population units, which means that connectivity is super important to allow the bears to move as freely as possible across this fracture zone. This also means that electric fencing significant swaths of land or the entire valley perimeter is with the intention to keep bears out is not a viable solution because this would largely eliminate that opportunity for that critical connectivity. Next slide, please. So here we're now looking at an overview of some statistics from our program progress to date. So in total, we've done 12 fence installs, which represents over 20 acres of attractants that have been secured from a variety of predators. Through the pie chart on the left of the screen here, we can see the wide variety of some of these attractants. Specifically, grizzly bears seem to have acquired a taste for Pemberton's famous carrots, as some of us might have. Which is why they represent 25% of the attractants that we have secured through this fencing program. And for anyone interested, we do have a video available on our YouTube channel about the electric fencing we've done in the Pemberton Meadows, and that's included in that proposal document with this presentation. Next slide, please.
And so the electric fence cost share program is an important initiative. We know there is a need, and we've contributed over $35,000 through private funding and conservation donors. It's just one of the initiatives we work on, and it does take time and preparation to see through. So funding can be a challenge, especially with constraints in a nonprofit world. Capacity in terms of running and fulfilling our program commitments is another challenge. To support the labor with installing fences is offered when possible. And to ensure success, it requires experienced installers to grizzly bear specific standards. So the wide geography of the SLRD is challenging to provide that service in all of the communities. Last year, we had a wait list for the program that will carry over, and with the need for education and programming in the Portage Road fracture, other areas with high grizzly bear connectivity like the Bridge River Valley, expansion to meet the higher demands can be a challenge without additional support. Next slide, please.
So to help us continue our electric fence cost share program and address some of those barriers, our first request to the SLRD is in the form of funding. So we are asking for $5,000 in 2024 and another $5,000 in 2025 from the SLRD. And this would really allow us to improve our ability as Coast Cascades to run and expand our program further into those geographies within the electoral areas of A and C. And for all residents who live within these areas, proactive efforts like electric fencing are really important towards resident safety and their ability to coexist with the species around them.
And funding is not the only way that the SLRD can support ongoing grizzly bear work. Initiative that supports collaboration and open dialogue can be something like a bear stewardship working group. So in 2017, one such group began in Pemberton, spearheaded by the Stewardship Pemberton Society, organizations like the SLRD, Village of Pemberton, Conservation Officer Services, Pemberton Wildlife Association, Lillooet Nation, and Coast Cascades were invited to collectively discuss public concerns, offer suggestions, and support plans regarding bear conflicts and public safety issues. It led to the SLRD to apply for the WildSafe BC coordinator position, a great community resource and one we've collaborated with to bring more education to the areas. We've spoken with the SLRD environment coordinator, who is waiting to hear if WildSafe BC application is approved for this year for 2 coordinators in the SLRD. And they are willing to facilitate Bear Stewards Working Group if staff time and support is designated by this board. Next slide, please. So if you would like to connect with us about any of our initiatives or the things we've spoken about today, our emails are on the screen, or you can visit our website to learn more. Before we close for questions, there are some upcoming presentations that may be of interest. This Thursday, March 14th, Lana Cernello, the research scientist who conducted the Pemberton Meadows and the Portage Road bear hazard assessments, and Michelle McClellan, a research scientist who has studied the fracture zones. They're presenting on a webinar series, CRED Talks, and where Pemberton Meadows is going to be used as a prime example. To register, you can search online for Kootenai Conservation Winter Webinar Series. And Coast Cascades will also be holding in-person education events on April 14th at the Pemberton Community Center. Lan will be presenting on grizzly bear coexistence for the Pemberton Meadows and Portage Road areas. And we'll be having public events incorporating our electric fence program, the information, and bear awareness like bear spray training. And we're planning for Portage Road events in April and another Pemberton Meadows event in May. So please keep an eye out for information on those events. And now we will have time for questions if anybody has any.
Tony.
Thank you very much. It's very interesting, and even though I'm not in the area that's immediately affected, but could you just tell me again, you said conversation webinar series, but I missed the first word. What was that webinar series?
Kootenai Conservation Winter Webinar Series. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
I don't think I can put the link in the chat. If I could, I would, but it doesn't look like I can.
They've had a series of connectivity webinars that will span over a few months, and this one this week is about grizzly bears, so it's really going to be really interesting.
When are you predicting that these, the bears in the area will be coming out of hibernation?
Yeah, well, we're not biologists, but we do predict just from kind of the trends and the very low snowpack that we've had, that bears may become more active earlier, the sooner. Usually they come out kind of April, May. We're already in March and our snowpack is quite low, unfortunately, and it has been like that over the winter. So we might see more activity earlier. And yeah, it is very dependent on climate and food availability and those sorts of things. So trying to get proactive and get people thinking about, remember your bear spray and just being aware of when you do recreate in the backcountry, but also they'll be coming down into areas like Pemberton Meadows and Bridge River Valley, where they're come down for the spring up.
Sal, go ahead.
I think Jackie was first. I'll let
Jackie, go ahead.
Okay, thanks, Sal. Hi, Jolene, nice to see you online. It's been a few, a few
Sure.
minutes. And Erica, nice to meet you. This is great work. It's nice to see that the electric fencing program in Pemberton is working. And I just wanted to pass along a little bit of information that it's my understanding that the Agriculture and Food Society here has it on their work plan to do a wildlife conflict conversation in this area. So it'd be great to get a hold of them to be part of that. And my other understanding is that the District of Lillooet staff is currently researching some electric fencing options and things like that. So good, you're both nodding that you already know that. So excellent work, very supportive of this type of initiative. And I know that the electric fencing is a great tool and definitely works. So thank you.
Sure. Thank you so much. Yeah, we've provided a few resources to the bylaw officers in Lillooet because they are interested in starting a program, and they connected with Jillian Sanders, who was our first kind of contact when we were starting this program. So hopefully, yeah, it's proven effective if done right. But it does sound like there is a lot of support for these kind of initiatives. Thank you, Jackie.
Still have questions, Sal?
Sal?
Yes, not so much a question. Thank you, Erica and Jolene, for the presentation. And again, you guys are doing excellent work. And we've already had a black bear cub out and about on Road 40.
I saw.
Yeah, and I'd like to make a motion that we use general select funds for this, $5,000 this year and $5,000 in 2025. So it splits it that way because we don't have a lot of funds in that program.
Yeah, very good.
Should we bring that forward to the budget? Because it's general select, so it's a board decision. Okay. Okay.
Okay, so what we're gonna bring it forward to the budget process?
Yeah, your motion would confirm it into the budget.
Okay.
Yeah, because we're getting kind of late on that, aren't we?
Yeah, it's already been preemptively.
Yeah,
So
But
the authority to commit general select funds? This committee? I thought we did.
yeah.
yes, we do.
Good.
I just don't know.
So-
what
Right.
Well,
it'll.
It's definitely more than that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, if we look here.
I think there's around 15,000.
That's interesting. The computer is frozen up again.
I'm looking for it. Where is it?
It's in the information report.
Yeah.
Suzanne recommending general select.
How many?
Sorry, Suzanne is recommending general. Just want to confirm she's recommending general select.
Yeah.
She is.
Okay, so Sal's gonna put that forward, and I'll second it. I'll call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried.
I have a question about this whole process. I understand what electric fencing would do. If I want to grow some vegetables in my backyard, I put an electric fence around it, the bears won't go in there and disturb it. So I can understand that, but the bears are still there. They're still going to be walking down the road and maybe sniffing around someone's back porch and things like that. So what do we do about that? How do we deal with that?
Go ahead.
Yeah, thank you, through the chair. I feel like it's a communications effort, and I feel like the request to reactivate a bear working group would support sort of a collaborative approach through the Village of Pemberton, the SLRD, the Coast of Cascades, to keep the awareness about the bears, without taking on, sort of the responsibility for the bears. But I think to your point, we're not trying to get rid of the bears from the valleys, because that's not going to work and it's not realistic, nor do I think that's what anyone is recommending. I think when we get the calls from neighbors saying this bear is at my front door shaking my mailbox, that's terrifying. And so we have to kind of change the behavior of the people, because that's the behavior we can influence, is the people in the area. And that's through good communication and good awareness that, yes, these bears are here. And no, we're not going to send a conservation officer, as we heard in our delegation at last month's board meeting, that the conservation officer's job is not to go and scare every bear away. It's to change the behavior of the people coexisting. And I think it's a good point. We can't electric fence every farm property in the Pemberton Valley. That seems like we need a much bigger pot of money.
But having said that, I know people in the valley that are afraid to go out of their houses after dark. So what does that
So
say?
how do we do it? Yeah.
Well, yeah, because that's just totally unrealistic too, to walk from your house to your car to go somewhere.
Mhm.
And, I know one elderly lady up the valley who's had, the bear on her porch.
Yeah,
More than once,
right.
and then you've got other people with bear prints, on the windows. So there's gotta be a balance here somehow. I don't know how, but, the thing that I worry about is somebody getting in between, like a mom and the cubs or whatever, and maybe 9 times out of 10 or, more than that, they don't do anything. But then there may be that one time when they do something. And that's gonna cause a real problem, because obviously the person that gets beat up is gonna be on the losing end of this, right? And once that happens, how do we bring that back? So we've got to have, I think, a serious discussion here. It's all fine and dandy say we got to protect the bears, let them roam free, do all this stuff. But once they start coming into close proximity to humans, then there could be an issue. And they are at the top of the food chain, let's face it.
For sure.
So they're an apex predator. So
Jolene.
anyways, Jolene and then Sal and Tony.
Yeah, I was, I'm sorry.
Jolene?
No, it's not my turn.
Sure, I just want to comment on some of the things. So thank you for that. We couldn't have said it more about kind of the changing of people's behaviors. And so, yes, discussions like this could happen at a bear working group where you bring on people with, the different experiences to bring that to the table. So other entities to include would be the WildSafe BC coordinator, of course, that brings that community education piece, but bylaw officers, the SLRD Agriculture Advisory Committee, because there is kind of a gap in information sharing between kind of roles and responsibilities, but also there is misinformation that is happening through. So the education component is really important. What to do when, yes, when there are bears literally on your front doorstep. That's a safety concern, and that it's why these tools are important. So for other communities in BC and Alberta, they're, a little bit ahead of us in terms of they know what to do when bears are in that situation, and it's kind of second nature. So the bear spray training and those other things are just, they're not end-all solutions, just like the electric fencing, but they are tools, and if they're used right, that it's that safety component that everybody can kind of have a peace of mind. So yes, not advocating to electric fence the whole valley or whole communities, but there is some lessons to be learned from people and bears to know that there are, no-go zones. There's areas that they shouldn't be allowed to access and be in close proximity to people. They are, yes, a predator, but they are kind of 80–90% vegetarians. They're vegetation. So when we live in these beautiful valley bottoms, lush greenery around, see like almost all bear season, they will be kind of coming down for those natural food sources. So we want to prevent them from getting into the attractants that they shouldn't be for people's livelihood, gardens, chickens, and that kind of thing, because then that's another level of kind of unsecurity in terms of the safety concerns. So definitely, I think a bear working group would be a great addition to be able to have these discussions and make sure that everybody is at the table, but everybody has the correct information about, bear biology, ecology, populations, and what are the solutions and how they can be applied to these specific concerns for these communities. And those can be mirrored or taken from examples in other areas as well. So thank you. And
Thank you. Sal?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, in the Bridge River Valley, as mentioned, we have an active bear working group, and currently it is looking at if you see the picture behind me, the fire burnt high all along Mount Penrose, around Mount Dixon, and all the way up Stone Creek, which took out a lot of white bark pine, which in the last thing that the grizzly bears will eat is the seeds from them. And they're working on trying to get a working group going, a table actually, to facilitate replanting. It hasn't been successful yet, but they're pushing hard with the various ministries. But on that bear working group, I'm a member of it, and we've done a lot of stuff over the years, including actually funding a bear aware person from our valley, Kenneth Walker, who did an excellent job. We've trained a lot of people on how to use bear spray. We sell bear spray here in the valley cheaper than you can get at Canadian Tire, and so on and so forth. So on that education piece, that bear working group has really done an excellent job. So I fully support it, and I'll make a motion that the SLRD supports facilitating a bear working group for the south area there, and that the funding comes from general government.
Okay,
So that would have to be a recommendation of the
Facilitate or
board.
participate.
moved and seconded.
Just a point of clarity, facilitate this group or participate in this group? Because what I heard from the presentation, they're not asking us to facilitate the group, they're asking us to participate in it. And maybe that's through the chair to Coast Cascades for clarity.
Yeah, if I can clarify, it does take, a designated person to be able to kind of coordinate meetings and, bring everybody together and keep things going. So we unfortunately don't have the capacity to facilitate, but the environment coordinator with the SLRD has said that could be a possibility, that they have, they're able to put that in their work plan if it is designated by the board. So to facilitate or coordinate these meetings, to be that person that brings everybody together, keeps things going, and does the reporting if that is required by the SLRD. But Coast Cascades could be another member at the table to provide information and kind of keep things with the progress that we're doing.
Tony?
I'm just thinking about that facilitating, coordinating it, and I'm just thinking of the young man that we had working in Area D, and that was part of his job, seemed to me, was doing bear education and pulling people together and setting up meetings. And so it would fit into that role, I think, other than it wouldn't affect other stuff.
Do we still have that
Devin?
position?
Can I? Chair?
Absolutely.
So when this was brought forward as a presentation, I did look at that second recommendation to coordinate and did interpret it as a facilitation. It is a lot of work coordinating meetings and teams and getting it together. And then most of the administration of work coming out of that lands on that person's desk. I asked some questions, and in the past, the SLRD has not been involved in coordinating. There is something to note that the SLRD does give $17,000 to WildSafe BC for coordination and programming. Likely that's maxed out on other programs. It could be something that's considered, the SLRD considers funding capacity in another nonprofit. Or the board, of course, at their discretion could confirm that, but we would need to increase staff capacity, which would be a higher budget to bring on staff. The workloads are loaded. And through the chair, it's the director who determines those workloads and priorities.
I thought I heard we were getting a second WildSafe, but did I misinterpret or misunderstand something?
The only information that I have is that $17,000 is funded to WildSafe, and that's for programming and coordination. We can get some more information. I could ask Omar if he has any more information to come in.
Yeah. He's,
I've got him.
Jolene has one.
yeah, Jolene, go ahead.
Yes, just wanted to comment on for the Bear Working Group. So Jacoda, I believe, is the environment coordinator who we spoke with, and she was saying that, her manager said, sounds like a good idea, but it does need to come from the board. So that would be the person that we were speaking about that has said they could put it in their work plan to coordinate these kind of meetings. It would, it could be quarterly or however, depending on if there are major issues that come up, meeting as necessary. And the WildSafe BC program is now under Jacoda. So before it was with solid waste. So Marie Lou was the one that was supervising, Devin, who was 2 years, and Elise was last year. And this year I believe it's going to be a new coordinator. And they are seasonal between kind of May to November. But this chairperson or facilitator person, if it does come from the SLRD staff or somebody else, if the funding can be provided for staff time, to have them, yes, be knowledgeable about what is going on, or be able to, have those connections with the different members involved.
Through the chair, Omar's here. I just he'll come up and clarify this. Just a point of clarification on my side, as I understand it, all staff are maxed out, their work plans are full, so where the priorities go to our environmental coordinators comes through Omar, and something we have to leave in order to put this on. I'll let Omar speak to that.
I think the idea behind this is that our coordinator is supportive of helping. I think leading a working group is beyond the capacity we can agree to at this point.
Participation, just for clarity, yes. I'm always open to anything at the discretion of the board. It would just mean more funding in this staff capacity.
So where do we want to go with this then?
We have a motion on the floor and it's seconded. So
We
we could
can
amend
second
it.
What did the motion say, please?
Yeah, through the chair, that the SLRD support facilitating a bear working group through general government funds.
And that's moved and second.
So then could I propose an amendment
Yes.
that the SLRD support investigation of a bear working group so that they can bring that back to the board with a recommendation of who and how? And to outline budget implications. Is that fair?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll second that.
You okay with that, Sal? Jackie,
Yes, I am.
moved and seconded, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Thanks, Omar. Okay, is there any other questions? I guess my only question is, well, thank you very much for the presentation, but going forward, you guys will keep us up to date on when the first bears appear from hibernation and all that kind of stuff. If we don't find out on our own from residents. And we've got to be coordinating with each other, right? No matter what, so anyways. And
Do you have a community newsletter that goes out regularly that could be sent to board members?
Yes, we are hoping to get a quarterly one going this year. So ideally, the first one will be around April 1st, and then, quarterly from there on. So that could absolutely be shared with board members.
Thank you.
excellent, thank you.
And
Okay.
hopefully you are available in April 14th to come to the presentation in the community center. It'll be all those kind of biology questions will be kind of centered around that and coexistence for our different areas in those fracture zones.
Just a question, have you thought of having like an open house or anything in Nequatqua? Like for Darcy, Divine, Perkin? Because some people don't have the means to travel from there to Everett, right?
Absolutely. So yeah, so I am from Darcy, and our first one is going to be kind of that education day that we were talking about. So hopefully it will be in April next month, and that will be in Darcy at the community garden. So we're hoping to install electric fencing around the community garden there, and that'll be a chance for everybody to kind of come out, see what it's about, launch the electric fencing program, and have, the bear spray, and like an open house, have just people available to talk about kind of bears and get more information going that way. We haven't set a date yet. We're still waiting for the installer to come back, but it will be kind of mid-April on.
Okay, very
And
good.
yeah, we'll definitely be advertising all these events. And it's open to all those area residents.
Nice, very good. Thank you so much. Okay, well, thank you guys, and have a great day.
Thank you. Thanks so much.
Yes, you as well. Thank you for having us. Nice to see everyone. And very much appreciate it. Thank you.
Consent agenda, is there anything that needs to be pulled or anything like that?
I'll move it.
Okay, moved and seconded. All question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. So approval and receipt of minutes, 6-1.
Part of the consent agenda.
Pardon me?
That's part of the consent favor here.
Oh, okay. How come it's not on mine? Oh, I guess it is. I turn the page. Business arising from the minutes, I don't believe there is any. Staff reports and other business, CAO verbal update.
Hi, everyone. Great to be here. I don't really have a verbal update, except to say that the Policy Development Committee had a great meeting yesterday, and I hope to bring to the EAD and to the board a lot of exciting work and changes that will be happening over the next year. And thank you.
And have a wonderful holiday.
Hello, huh? What's that?
Coming with you, by the way.
I think we're all, I meet your luggage.
This is when I start singing, and then.
It's when you come in a grass skirt tomorrow.
Okay, 8.2, information report, March 2024 select funds. We have Suzanne for that. And Colin. Okay. Morning, Suzanne.
Good morning. I'm Suzanne LaFrance, Director of Finance, and I'll turn it over to Colin, Deputy Director of Finance.
Good morning, Colin. How are you?
Good morning, everyone. I'm good. So I'm just presenting the select fund report. This is the current balances of our 5 accounts. I do know there's a bit of discussion previously about the general select account, and I can confirm that there is 15,000 of unallocated funds remaining in that account at the moment. I'll open it up for any questions on any of the items. And I will also add that we did pay out the scholarship amounts for 2024 as per the request at the previous meeting.
Any
Just
questions,
any other
anybody?
questions?
Tony, go ahead.
Area D, where it says expenditures, Housedown Secondary School, Whistler Secondary School. Does that mean though that money has already been sent to them? I just want to clarify that in case I have to do something.
Nope, that has been sent.
Thank you very much. That's good.
Sal or Jackie, any questions?
No, it all looks good, Colin.
Great.
Okay, Jackie. Okay. And I'm okay.
So with that, the second report that I have is some funding for Area C Community Works Fund projects. We have 3 new funding requests. The first is for Divine Water for some system upgrades that includes a backup generator, some curb stop replacements, and a water main valve. The second request is additional funding for the Collins Road water main upgrade for Pemberton North Water. We previously requested 220,000 for this, but after receiving bids on the RFP, it was just a little over the original budget. And the third project is additional upgrades for Darcy Water, which also includes long-term planning assessment. And then we did also want to rescind 22,000 that was allocated to Divine Water for water boxes that are no longer being purchased. If there's any questions on these, I'm happy to answer them.
Sure. I don't think we moved receipt of the select funds, did we?
Yeah, I think we just do it all together. Well, not all together.
Oh, sorry about that.
So, yeah.
Yeah, so I'll move to
Receive it, this. See the first.
so do we have the authority then to pass this or just has to have to go to the board?
It says recommended to the board.
These, the first
Yeah.
one, receiving the select funds. You're moving to receive it.
So the 8.2, yeah, I'm getting ahead of you,
Okay.
or whatever.
Okay.
To Angela.
So moved in,
I'll move it,
okay.
yeah. receipt of
moved in
select funds.
seconded, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Okay, now we're on 8.3 then. So these here are all Area C Community Works Funds. All these requests. So can we pass these here or do they? It has to go to the board as well. Yeah, okay. Anyways, I will, can I do them all at once? Okay, so we've got 1, 2, 3, 4. I will move all 4 that's.
Second.
Seconded. Call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Okay. So one question I have for Suzanne or Colin, in our last presentation from the grizzly bear group, they were talking about funding for fencing and such. Would that qualify under these community works funds?
At first, I would say yes, because it's infrastructure. Basically, I'd have to check that it would fall under a correct category because everything flows through their categories. So I'd have to double check that, but it is infrastructure, which would be eligible. And we would have to have an agreement, obviously, because it's not owned by the SLRD. But I don't know what category it would fall under, so it would take a little bit more time to review that.
Okay, please, yeah, because I'm interested in that. There's a lot of this fencing that is gonna need to be put in throughout the corridor, really.
Mostly in.
Mostly in Area C, yeah,
Yes.
at this point in time anyways. Yeah. So that would be Permanent Meadows and Burke and Divine Tarsi. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay.
Thank you.
The what?
Yes, yes. Yeah, the whole, yeah. All right, 8.4. Information report 2024-2028 electoral area directors draft budgets.
Okay, so I'll lead this conversation, and this will be the last review of the EAD budgets before they get towards the board on March 27th for adoption of the financial plan bylaw. I'll just share my screen, but there is not a lot of changes for these budgets. We already went through the assessment changes, so I won't go through all of that. And I'm just slowly scrolling. Sorry, I can't get up to these buttons. And so we've already approved the civic addressing in February, so I didn't bring that forward again. Same with elections, UBCM budget, and the electoral area community park service budget, which is now ended. So those were already approved, so not included. We have included the building inspections and the emergency planning budget and the select services budgets to review and hopefully send for approval to the board. So the overall EAD review of all the requisitions in the draft budget shows a reduction in taxation by 4.6% or $33,882. That's for and $1 million property, sorry, would pay on average $20 less for these EAD services than in 2023. And it's mainly due to the surplus carry forwards in these services. So the building inspections had a surplus carry forward of almost 300,000. And the emergency planning had a surplus carry forward of 75,000. Not a lot has changed, just I refined the forecast figures for 2023, which updated the surplus. And so I updated the transfer to emergency planning as the offset, and just minor amounts that changed in building inspections. Did you want to go through these budgets any more detail? Or is this enough for the review since
It's
this is the
enough for
third
me,
go
but
around?
we'll ask the question. Tony, Jen,
Well, I'm fine.
okay? How about you, Tony, and Sal and Jackie?
I'm fine. I reviewed everything and it looks good.
Yeah, I'm fine too. Director Birch Jones didn't give me anything to contribute for these, so she's probably gone over them in detail.
Okay,
Great.
thank you.
So yeah, it's nice that there's a little bit of a savings this year, a rare occasion. And so if we want to move approval for exhibit cost under 1,400, building inspections, cost under 1,761, emergency planning, and then the area select services as well. So 2,900 to 2,904. And then that would be all of the EAD budgets being approved from the EAD committee.
So moved.
Okay, I'll second it.
We're doing all the outstanding ones. Okay.
Okay, call a question. Or moved and seconded, call a question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Suzanne, thank you.
As usual. Yeah, that's how for that. Morning, Claire and Kim. We're on 8.5.
Excellent. Thank you. Good morning, everyone. My name is Claire Dewar, and I'm a senior planner here at the Squamish-Lillooet Regional District. I'm happy to give a brief overview presentation of the request for decision report specific to the Boulder Creek Operators Residence Zoning Amendment, which is being here before the EAD for consideration of first reading. So I'll give a brief overview, and then I'm happy to answer any questions that the EAD may have. So the SRD received a zoning amendment application for an operator residence facility for employees of the Boulder Creek and Upper Lillooet River hydroelectric facilities. And this is located just up the Upper Lillooet River Forest Service Road. The current operator residence facilities have been operating on a temporary basis, and the location has presented challenges for access and safety reasons. And Appendix B does include some context maps just to have us get a sense of where this is being proposed, as well as the shift in location from the current operator residence to the proposed new site. So the area that is being proposed for the new site was currently used as a temporary site back when the hydroelectric facilities were originally constructed. And Amendment Bylaw 1850-2024 proposes to rezone the subject parcel from the Rural Residential 1 Resource Management Subzone to a new site-specific zone being RR8 Boulder Creek Operator Residence, which provides for employee housing for up to 20 persons on a 6.78 hectare parcel. And also noting that site servicing, including electricity, water, and septic, is already in place at this location. The proponent has also submitted an application to the Ministry of Forests for a Crown land tenure on the subject parcel to provide for this employee housing or operator residence for the operational life of the hydroelectric facilities, which is more than 30 years, hence the need for the zoning amendment. And that this, the SRD zoning amendment application and the Crown land tenure application are being processed concurrently, and adoption of the amendment bylaw would be contingent on this Crown land tenure. So I'll just touch on a couple aspects. As we noted, the application and the new RR8 zone provides for 20 employee housing units. These would be in ATCO trailers, 6 ATCO trailers with 2 sleeping units each and an overflow residence. An aspect too of this zoning amendment is the public hearing not held, and this is an opportunity for us to touch base with the directors on changes that were introduced under Bill 44, which is the Housing Statutes Residential Development Amendment Act. which now limit the discretion that was previously afforded to local governments. And specifically, amendments to section 464 now state that a local government cannot hold a public hearing in two circumstances. First, where the proposed zoning bylaw permits residential development that is consistent with an existing OCP. And second, where a proposed bylaw relates to small-scale multi-unit housing development. So this application would be the first example where the proposed zoning bylaw permits residential development and it's consistent with the existing OCP. So the SRD is prohibited from holding a public hearing. There is an opportunity for the public to submit submissions. So notice has been provided, and this includes newspaper ads and notice on the SRD website. The neighbor notification process is for all property owners and tenants within 150 meters of the subject property. In this case, there are none, so there is no neighbor notification process. And then if we just want to touch, I wanted to touch briefly on how this application relates to our regional growth strategy. And the areas are designated non-settlement, and which provides for resource extraction and industrial uses. And we are maintaining the 40 hectare minimum parcel size, which is also aligned with this designation. So the zoning amendment is consistent with this non-settlement area designation. The subject parcel is designated resource management under the electoral area C, OCP, and there are a number of policies included in the staff report pertaining to this specific resource management designation, but really it is showing alignment with the resource management designation and policies. So then if we look at the proposed new zone, which would be the RR8 Boulder Creek operator residence, as we mentioned, we're providing for 20 employee housing units. The minimum parcel size will remain at 40 hectares. And there is up to 5 accessory buildings included as well. And the other kind of noteworthy aspect here that was submitted with the zoning amendment application is a letter of support from the Lillooet Nation. So the nation has provided preliminary support for both the Crown Land tenure and the SOD zoning amendment application. They have still requested to be involved or included in the referral process following first reading. So that will be the case as our usual procedures. And yeah, I guess I can leave it there, and I'm happy to take any questions that the committee may have. Thank you.
Sal, go ahead, then Tony.
Thank you, Ms. Dewar, for the presentation. I got 2 questions. One is, it's in the resource land. I'm just curious why this isn't a work gap. I don't presume that anybody there would reside there for a full year. And so it's called a residence, but to me, it just looks like a work gap where people are coming in and out.
Yeah, so through the chair, we like our zoning, and this is what they've been operating under previously and currently right now is a temporary work camp. And our zoning, the RR1, our resource management subzone provides for temporary work camps. The issue at hand is that they intend to be operating this residence facility to ensure their hydroelectric facilities, that they're staffed with their hydroelectric facilities. So that is like a long-term, we're talking like 30+ years. So with that now is beyond the scope of what can be considered in a temporary work camp. It's not just, initially it was just around building the hydroelectric facilities, and this employee residence zoning and the application really is to address the need for operators there on an ongoing basis for the next 30+ years.
Okay, thank you. My second question is, I don't think I've seen an amenity contribution from the 2 power generation plants up there in that valley. Was there a reason why there wasn't any contribution?
Ooh, I might not be able to speak to that as that predates my time at the SLRD. I'm not sure if there's anyone else on hand that knows the background around the Boulder Creek and Upper Lillooet River hydroelectric projects.
Yeah,
Okay.
so what happened back in the day with the previous board, they didn't agree to the amount that they wanted to put forward as an amenity contribution. And they were also doing another project down in the Squamish Valley, I think on the Elaho or Ashley Creek. And anyways, the provincial government stepped in and put a bill forward. So they didn't have to put any amenity funds forward to the regional district. There are amenity funds being paid to Lillooet on a yearly basis for the life of the project. So I think we, the board of the day, kind of shot themselves in both feet. And yeah, so we ended up getting nothing instead of what we should have got, which should have been quite substantial. But anyways, that's history, water under the bridge, whatever you want to say.
The interesting thing about that Ashley Creek one was that they didn't not provide an amenity contribution. They just didn't provide it to the SLRD. They created a foundation for the benefit of the people in that valley.
Yeah.
So I don't think the new rules preclude us from asking, but we just can't demand. We can't make it a condition.
Yeah, it's 10 years down the road now.
Yeah.
So, and like I say, Lillooet were smart in their negotiation process because they do get an annual amenity fund paid to them. So, yeah, learning experience.
I have a question as well.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you very much.
So basically, following up a little bit on what Sal was saying, when I looked at this, I thought this looks a bit like a work camp, but it's not. You know, if we're talking 30 plus years, presumably these are not going to be temporary kind of structures. They're going to be proper homes. So does that mean families are going to be moving in there? No, I don't know. How far is this from the community?
From here, it's probably 80 to 90 kilometers. It's a long ways up. I mean, and I know a couple of the people that work there. So they work on a, week in, week out basis. Maybe not a week out, but so week in, 4 days out, that type of thing. So the biggest problem they have there this time of the year is keeping road access, which most years is impossible in the wintertime. So they've either got a snowcat in, skidoo in, helicopter in and out. So I think they're just trying to set up, good accommodation for their employees. So when these people, there's somebody, those folks live there, right? But the families don't live there, just the workers.
Just the work.
Yeah.
So what are we talking about in terms of structures then?
Well, I don't know what they've had. Did you ever go up to their original work camp that was there? I mean, it was first class. Yeah. I went up, they had everything. Recreation facilities, kitchens. Everybody has their own accommodation, blah, blah, blah. So yeah, it's quite interesting. But
through the chair, I just want to clarify that, and Claire, you probably could confirm or deny this. If by definition, employee housing means the use of a dwelling unit for occupation only by employees or individuals related by blood, adoption, common law marriage, or foster parenthood to an employee or cohabitating with an employee in a spousal relationship. So that's built in, Claire, am I correct? That's built into the zoning here. So we can assume what they're not going to do. Our approval allows that.
Yeah.
Is that correct, Claire?
Yes, through the chair. Thank you for highlighting the new definition that we are bringing in, which is that employee housing definition. We have that definition in other electoral areas, but we haven't had need for it in electoral area C until this time. So there is specific requirements around who is living there. And I think just to clarify for the electoral area directors that there are operators living there on site. They may not live there year round. It is likely a roster where they're there for a couple of weeks and then a couple of weeks out. But they are living there. There are operators living there year round to ensure the facilities are working. And in terms of the structures that are proposed, they are ATCO trailers. So it is still, you know, it's. I mean, ATCO trailers can look a lot of different. They can take on various shapes and forms. So we'll see what they invest in, but that is what's being proposed in their application.
So I've been to a work camp with all of the facilities and kitchens and recreation stuff. This basically is a permanent work camp. That's how we should view it. So if a guy wanted to take his wife with him, for example, he wouldn't be able to?
He would.
Yeah, that's not for us to determine. Like right now, our zoning, it just through the chair, the zoning is specifying that this is for employee housing only. And then we have the definition which could account for relatives of the employees. I don't know that we'll see that, but it was important for staff to limit these residential uses to employees as per the definition.
Yeah, just because, like I say, I know a couple of the guys that work in there, and when they're in there, they're working. It's not a leisurely operation, right? So they're doing the maintenance, it's a year-round operation. So they go in, they do their shift. When they come out, somebody else transfers in. And so it's a continuous operation. Maybe it's different people. Well, it is different people. But they're all in there to maintain the operation.
I think what's at issue here is the difference in the zoning from what it currently is as a non-settlement land, being that we can't go out and build houses or townhouses where you or I could go and live.
Yeah.
And I think that will be the question from board members who are concerned about the regional growth strategy and how we're creating little communities out 80 kilometers from town that then need a grocery store or a convenience store or school or other types of community infrastructure that will not be provided for this area.
But that's not what this is about.
That's the point. That's my point.
Yeah.
And that's how it needs to be communicated to the community in the surrounding area, as well as to the board members who will be concerned about changing a zoning.
The community in the surrounding area there is nothing.
Totally.
But trees and mountains and bush, you know?
Well, when we talk about the regional growth strategy and we talk about creating leapfrog developments of housing pockets and how does that fit within our compact and complete communities, that's not what is being proposed here.
No.
And so I think that's really important for us to relay, for staff to relay to the board meeting when this comes forward, that that's not what we're presenting here. We're not presenting it. Staff are presenting it in a way that is helpful to me, that this is keeping people able to work at the site and then leave for their days off.
Yeah, in a safe and effective manner.
Yeah, without it being tense.
Yeah.
No, I understand that clarification. I think that's important, because, you know, I started looking at that, I was thinking, okay, for 30 years, these can be proper houses, so there will be family, and we will need other things. We'll need a store, we'll need this. I didn't understand how far away it was. Maybe I didn't read it carefully enough, but I didn't see that. And when you sort of look at that kind of development change in zoning, coupled with moves the province is making to make use of Crown land to provide affordable housing, then you know it could easily morph into something like that. Not this circumstance by the sound of it, but that does need to be clear.
My take on this whole thing is our regional growth strategy maybe 20, 30 years ago, or whenever that thing was devised, it made sense, right? But in this day and age, it does not make sense. We have land out there, people own 20 acres, 5 acres, 10 acres, that's perfectly subdividable. And just because you subdivide and put 2 houses on that properties, that's not changing. I mean, you're not gonna have a Walmart being built out in any of these places. Like in Darcy, we have no store, no gas station, no nothing, right? And there's nothing there in the foreseeable future. So to say that these non-settlers, we want everything built in Pemberton, Worcester, Squamish, to me, you know, maybe back in the day when they were trying to build up their communities, that was all fine and dandy. But in this day and age, to me, it's totally, like, it needs to be rethought, the whole thing. And I know, like, some of the members on our board will get really upset with that thought, right? Because, I mean, I've already seen it in action. It's just ridiculous. You gotta give your head a shake.
You can't change the Bible.
That was the point of my comment, is
Yeah.
that we're saying the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
They're just more
they'll-
polite than I. Okay, so
Claire, thank you
having
very
said all that,
We'll move.
move option number 1.
Yeah,
Okay, I'll second it, or would you like to second?
Sure.
Okay, perfect. So moved and seconded, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Now we're on to 8.6. Request for decision, notice on title, construction contrary to building bylaw regulations, Wolf area E. I believe Mr. Wolf is here. So we'll let staff do their thing first, and then you can have your say. Thank you.
Morning.
Yeah, are you? You're ready.
Good morning. I'm Jay McHugh, and I'm the Chief Building Official for the Squamish-Lillooet Regional District. We have today a request for decision for the property located at 1078 Goat Ridge Drive in Britannia Beach in electoral area D. Background is that in May 2014, building permit was issued for a single family dwelling. It was renewed, the building permit was renewed twice and expired on May 9th, 2020. The homeowner was offered an exception to the SRD's building bylaw 1611-2020 by the building official at the time for a third renewal with the final expiry of May 9th, 2022. The property owners were made aware that this would be the last extension, and the file would move to notice on title if it was not completed. The last inspection was on July 20th, 2020 for plumbing. It was a sewer and water test and installation, and it did not pass that inspection. Communication in the form of a letter was sent to the property owners on March 2nd, 2022 to advise that their permit was expiring, as they had not called for any further inspections. As construction exists, for staff request that a notice and title be placed at this time. Further to that, we have not received any communication until today from the homeowner since May of 2022. And we are now in the third cycle of the BC building code since the subject property was issued the building permit.
Any questions?
yeah. I'm not quite sure what this will mean. The house is there. So we're going to put a notice on title. What does that actually say then?
So section 57 notice through the chair, section 57 notice on title will live on the title of the property in the event that the current owner chooses to sell or relocate. It's as a flag to potential purchases that there is a bylaw infraction.
Okay. And if the current owner is staying there, living there, what's the effect of that notice then?
It has none until the building owner applies for a new building permit, and then we can remove that notice on title pending completion of their new building permit.
So that if the house is not complete or if it is complete, they have to apply for a new building permit to be able to get an inspection.
Correct, yeah.
Just trying to get.
Yep, the existing building permit has been expired for several years now. So they, as per the SRD's building bylaw, property owner needs to reapply.
Okay, and if they reapply and are given a new permit, what effect will that have in terms of inspection? I'm going to think, have things changed between when this original building permit was issued and where we are now?
Yeah, we've had 3 different building code cycles, and currently we're now in the 2024 BC building code. So a number of things have changed. How that would change in building inspection. Physical inspections, not a lot. However, there would be some administrative work to be completed on behalf of the homeowner in terms of proving out energy efficiency of the building as per what the new requirements of the building code are. So in many of these cases, instead of opening up walls or completely working backwards, homeowners would have to hire an energy advisor as though they were building a new building today to show through computer modeling that the building meets the requirements of the present day building.
Okay. So we're not talking about tearing the building down or anything like that?
No.
Okay.
No.
Okay, thank you.
Jen?
I think that answered my question. Thank you.
Sal or Jackie, any questions?
No questions.
No, no questions. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So what are you recommending?
Looking for that.
The response options recommended for staff. Option 1 is the preferred option, that if section 57 notice on title be registered with the effect on the property. The property owner may apply to have the notice removed once the contravention is resolved. Option 2 is a section 57 notice on title and initiate a court injunction to compel the owner to complete the building permit process or to remove the structure. And option 3 is defer a section 57 notice on title to allow the property owner more time to complete the building permit process. This option is not recommended, as the property owner may have to apply to have the notice removed once the contravention has been resolved.
Tony?
Yeah. I'll move option 1.
Okay, you'll second it? Okay. Moved and seconded, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
So you understand exactly what you need to do?
I do. My understanding is, first of all, it's a cottage. It's not a single family dwelling. I think that's, I just want to make that difference. It's a smaller building. I apologize that we went through a really rough patch in the last few years, just to make that understanding. We are not living there. The building is empty. We're living in Vancouver, which contributes to the challenge to go out there and continue. What I brought today is a new building permit. All the plans. I'm short because things, as Jay mentioned, we are now in new building permit, BCBC building, British Columbia building a bylaw. My question for Jay is that 24, is that 2018?
Through the chair, as of Friday of last week, we are now in the 2024 British Columbia building code.
I thought there was a time difference, and I brought everything to 2018, so I have to redo this. I just want to clarify one thing. I brought everything in physical page plans. And I looked at the website one more time. Jay mentioned to me that it's only cloud-based or internet-based, the application process. Your website actually states that I can hand in my physical plans. So I don't know if that's not anymore applicable or if that has changed.
Okay,
Through the chair, SLRD's building bylaw 1611/2020, we do not accept incomplete applications, and Mr. Wolf has presented an incomplete application today. So I've asked him to return and file online when he has a complete building permit application for us to consider.
But I can still come back and do it in physical form.
If you, Mr. Wolf, insists on handing, we will take a complete paper application, but only if it is a complete application. So.
okay,
So I brought everything. I brought the everything to 2018. So obviously it's now 2024. I apologize for that. What is the timeline? Can I do this tomorrow? I probably need 2 or 3 days from the consultants to rewrite the schedules and everything. So I can be back. Today is Tuesday. I can be back on Thursday and hand everything in so that we continue. It's not, there's not bad, there's not bad will here or anything. We just have difficulties finishing the project. The house is dry. Just to make a little bit, describe it, it's protected, so it's not going anywhere. That's the status of the building. It was just a very tough time, and I have to apologize. I just wanted to point a few things out. I didn't want it to come to this point. I didn't want it to expire because obviously it has some benefits to be on an earlier building code. But I wasn't aware, I didn't read it properly, that I needed to call inspections in order to maintain the thing. And so that's how it expired in the first place, because we didn't have anything. But I could have just asked for an inspection, not knowing that it will fail because it's not there, in order to do that. So this is basically a little bit the thing that came on in how this developed into the situation it is at the moment. We want to continue, we want to move in as quick as possible. This is still ongoing, even if the timelines are long, but it's a very difficult build. We are about 150 feet above the road vertically. There's no excuse. It's just to explain that we have 1,000 feet driveway up the hill, and things like that need to be maintained and put forward.
okay, so anyways, having said all that, you know exactly what you have to do now.
Okay.
So you meet with Jay, get everything sorted out,
Okay.
and carry on.
Okay, thank you. And that's why I came here. I want to document that. I find it really important. Yeah, and it's our priority to settle this issue.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
Good luck on all that.
Thank you.
Jay will take care of you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay.
Okay, 8.7.
Item 8.7, staff have come to request a decision for section 57 notice on title. The property location 7563 Linda Road in Pemberton at electoral area C. Background on this, building permit was issued for a single family dwelling on October 29th, 2015 for a 2-year term. The expiry date was October 29th, 2017. Inspections were performed and a request to renew the permit for another 2 years was granted. That expired in 2019. Another extension was granted for the file with an expiry of 2021, June. One last inspection occurring on July 1st, 2020. Email correspondence was sent to the homeowners in October of 2019 and June of 2021, detailing the outstanding items in order to complete the permit to final. And the building permit was thus closed without a final inspection. As the construction exists, staff requests that a notice on title be placed at this time. Any questions?
No, I'm fully,
Just had this conversation.
I had the same questions as last time, and you answered all those, so.
yeah, I'm fully, on board with this. I guess the problem that I have with these two individuals, their history goes back 20 years or more of the same stuff over and over and over again. And we end up getting lawyers involved and court dates involved. And then, you know, they settle whatever the infraction is at the time. And so many months later or years later, here we are again, and here we are again. And it never ends with these two. So I guess my question is, how do we make it end? Like, because what the problem with this is my estimation, these folks have wasted thousands and thousands of dollars in staff time of regional district money. And I know this guy, and I know exactly how he thinks. He's told me when I was the fire chief here, he told me he tore a barn down, and I went there and I said, "You're not allowed to light this mess on fire." Well, 12 o'clock that night, the mess is on fire. When I go there and read him the riot act, he tells me I have a real problem with authority figures. Really? Well, now it costs taxpayers more money, right? So I guess I get so frustrated with these two because they keep coming back and back and back, and we keep spending more and more money and time and staff time. And they'll be back again, I guarantee it. Jen?
Can I move option one?
Well,
No, you want to move option two?
I was looking at that, I was given, I remember this coming up. Yeah, how many times since we've been around? A long time, not a lot of times. Maybe option two would get them moving a bit.
Director Mack, can I respond to your question?
Yeah, go ahead.
Without getting into specifics, although personally I agree with your sentiment, there's very little we can do to prevent people from purchasing properties and moving on to another property within the regional district or even an electoral area, which seems to be the case in this specific instance. Section 57, as I've educated the board before, is our best tool in our toolkit to provide future homeowners with warnings and red flags towards the state of the property as it exists, which in case does affect and could potentially affect the sale of the property in the future. Your comment regarding time and money spent by staff pursuing legal action throughout the history of these homeowners within the SRD is very true and to not much avail. As we find ourselves in the same situations over here.
And this has also been, you know, the history with the village too. So it's not only with the regional district, the village has been involved with these folks a number of times, you know, and costs a lot of money there, and it's all taxpayers' money. And these guys, they just, you know, flog the rules and regulations and carry on, and you know, it's just very frustrating. So you're recommending option one then? That's the preferred option?
As a cost and time saving measure to staff in the regional district, we believe that option one is our preferred option to continue enforcement through the building bylaw and make future owners aware. Instead of option two of the time and expense to maybe not necessarily get the desired outcome that we would like to see.
Yeah. Okay, that's your recommendation. You'll move it. Tim, second it. Any questions from Sal or Jackie? Okay, moved and seconded. Call a question. All in favor? Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jake.
This is 9.1. Yeah. I suppose such things are free lunch.
Okay, we're on 9.1. Area B Agriculture Advisory Committee, AAC, meeting lunches, Director Birch Jones. Would you like to move this, Jackie?
Sure. Yes, I'd like to move this.
Okay, I'll second it.
No, I'll second it.
Tony-
After my
Tony
smart
wants
house
to
bill,
second.
I'll second it.
Okay, very good. So,
Thank you, Tony.
moved and seconded, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Very nice. Correspondence for action. Request for funding Gun Lake Ratepayers Association 2024 domain and website maintenance. Sal?
You're mute.
I'd like to move that motion, please.
Okay. Seconded by Jan. Moved and seconded, call the question. All in favor, opposed, motion carried. Thank you. Decision on additional late business.
Now you got 10.2.
Seniors drop-in center.
10.2.
10.2.
Oh yeah, 10.2.
I'll move it.
You're moving it? You're gonna second it? Tony?
Yep.
Okay, moved to second it, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Decision on additional late business, none. Late business, correspondence for action, request for funding. Lillooet and District Chamber of Commerce tourism efforts. So you're gonna move this, Jackie?
Yes, yes, please.
Thank you. Tony's gonna second it. Moved and seconded, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried. Director's notice of motion, none.
I'd like to move adjournment.
This is your, yeah, this is Tony's.
Good. I moved adjournment. Yeah, it's just.
That's you. Do we have? Okay, and I'll second. Moved and seconded, call the question, all in favor, opposed, motion carried.